Welcome to something to talk about.
Hi, welcome to Something to Talk About. My name is Taco, and I got one of them Song of Ice and Fire characters for you. Got a good one. Got a character. Creighton Longbough, the big-bellied hedge knight. So if you don't know what's going on here, you can pause this, read this. Definitely spoilers for the show and the books. I'm just going to talk some nerd stuff at you with no editing. And yeah, I got a really great character. I like the knights who got big bellies because I'm kind of a chubby chubster too. And, I like the representation of chubby guys who can fight. Because, just because this guy's chubby and has a beard doesn't mean he can't fight, right? So, yeah. Creighton Longbough. Should we just jump into it? Like, subscribe, do all that stuff. Hit that hype button, whatever that is. All right, cool. Creighton Longbough. Ser Creighton to you is a hedge knight who travels with Ser Illifer the Penniless. Another guy. I just, you know why I chose to cover Creighton and not Illifer? Creighton has more lines, for one. But I only had one small little piece of art, and it's this one by Squisher King, and, cool little doodle. And Illifer ain't got nothing. so his sigil showed up on this right next to Brienne's, and that's it. More lines and actually has one piece of art. So I covered Creighton instead. Their stories are exactly the same, except one person I'm going to put quotation marks around their words, and the other one I'm just going to say they're talking. So yeah, that's it. That's the only difference. Creighton has a big belly that strains the laces of his potted doeskin jerkin. Brienne stood a head taller than him and Illifer. He has straggly, untrimmed beard, the color of old gold that covers his cheeks and chin. Creighton is nearsighted and squints on occasion. He's a little blind. He is younger than Ser Illifer the Penniless, who is around 60, and the hedge knight rides a sway-backed brown gelding with roomy eyes. I'm not sure what that means, but that's what's going on. Cray's green shield showed only a brown cleft and a deep gouge made by a battle axe. Yeah, by the time she sees him, by the time Brienne, this is a Brienne character, by the way, there's just a big gash in the shield. So, yeah, cool. Cray acts like a courteous man who strives to be a true knight. He is a follower of the faith and is distrustful of the North. Cray is boastful, claiming that he is able to fight with either hand, and that singers sing of his fame. However, Brienne of Tarth and Sir Shadrach are skeptical of his prowess, or that there's any songs about him. Brienne's like, I don't know any songs by him. So Cray doesn't have a house. He's a hedge knight. So normally I cover the house you're in, or if you're from Essos, the city you're from. But I just went with hedge knights for this one. All right, hedge knights. A hedge knight is a wandering knight without a master. Hedge knights travel the length and breadth of the Seven Kingdoms looking for gainful employment. I'm right there with you. Not really. I have a job. Hedge knights are so named because they are the most worldly. Wait, what am I doing? Hedge knights are so named because most of their worldly wealth is in their arms and horses, and generally must sleep outdoors, often under a hedge. There you go. Contrary to landed knights, hedge knights own no land. Most hedge knights travel in search of employment and often attend tourneys to earn money and display their prowess in hopes of it being hired and making a name for themselves. Hedge knights often join the hosts of lords and royal processions of knights. Most hedge knights are younger men, although many strive to be chivalrous true knights. Hedge knights are often mistrusted and considered disreputable. The term hedge knight is considered disparaging. Some warriors can be described as up-jumped hedge knights. They say that a lot. Less scrupulous hedge knights put their martial training to use by resorting to banditry, becoming robber knights. And then there's a saying, a hedge knight and a robber knight are two sides of the same coin. It is said. It is known. So, yeah. There you go. I think think it's good to brush up on your hedge knights. So, cooking fish. So, this takes place the first chapter of Feast. So, Brienne just left King's Landing looking for Sansa Stark and Arya Stark. So keep that in mind. That's where we're at. So this is before she runs into Pod. This is before she runs into Hyle Hunt or Nimble Dick or Maribald, right? Those are all her traveling companions later on. None of that. All right, cooking fish. Brienne travels to Duskendale seeking the whereabouts of Sansa as she is charged to do so by Jaime. Having found a few leads in King's Landing, Brienne asks nearly everyone she comes across in roads and villages, but she never mentions Sansa's name, saying, should I do the accent that David reads to Goes? All right. I'm looking for a maid of 3 and 10, blue eyes and eye boy hair. Or some variation of that. Near dusk, she saw a campfire burning by a brook. 2 men sat beside it, grilling some trout, their arms and armor stacked beneath the tree. One was old and one was somewhat younger, though far from young. So that one, the younger one is Creighton, or as I'm just going to call him Cray. He's definitely still old, just not as old. The younger Creighton rose to greet her. We have enough trout for 3, sir, he called out. Brienne removed her helmet and let her hair out to show that she is female, and then thanks him. A lady, is it? Armed and armored. Illy, gods be good the size of her. The other man, Illifer, who he calls Illy, so I'm going to start calling Illy. Illifer the Penniless said that he thought she was a knight too and turned the trout. He's cooking the trout. She says the thing and asks if they saw a maid of 3 and 10 with eye boy and hair. Creighton scratched his head. I recall no such maid. What sort of hair is auburn? Illy tells him dark red, and they say no, they have not. Cray agrees with him and said, come, dismount. The fish is almost done. Are you hungry? She was hungry, but also very wary, since hedge knights are have an unsavory reputation. She asked them their names, and Cray answers, I have the honor to be Ser Creighton Longbough, of whom the singers sing. You will have heard of my deeds on the Blackwater, mayhaps. My companion is Ser Illifer the Penniless. I already like Cray. I think Cray's great. I definitely don't like him as much as I like Nimble Dick, because I feel like all that's goofy and fun about Cray is like turned to 11 for Nimble Dick. But yeah, the gentler sex. If there was a song about Creighton Longbough, it was not one Brienne has heard. She didn't know their names nor their arms. Brienne thanks them and swings off her horse. She stacked her arms and shield and saddlebags beneath the elm, which is the tree they're next to. And by then, the trout was crispy done. Cray brought her a fish, and she sat cross-legged on the ground to eat it. Cray tells her, we are bound for Duskendale, my lady. You will do well to ride with us. The roads are perilous. She says that she has no need for protection. And then he said, I insist, a true knight must defend the gentler sex. All right, I get what you're doing. There ain't nothing gentle about Brienne. I understand she's a female, but if she was a foot taller than me, was armed, had armor, and clearly looked like she could kick some butt, I wouldn't be like a little lady like you. Like, no, clearly she's not like a little dainty lady. But yeah, sexism, am I right? All right. She touched her sword hilt and claims that it will defend her. Cray says, a sword is only as good as a man who yields it. Wields it. I don't know why I said yields. Then it really wouldn't be good if you're yielding it. To that, she assures him that she wields it well enough. He gives in, as you will. It would not be courteous to argue with a lady. We will see you safe to Duskendale. The 3 together may ride more safely than one alone. She tells him that their horses cannot keep up with hers. Cray insists, my steed served me well enough on the Blackwater. Why, I did a great courage there and won a dozen ransoms. Wasn't my lady familiar with Ser Herbert Bolling? You shall never meet him now. I slay him where he stood. When swords clash, you should never. Oh my God, why does he talk so much? You shall near find Sir Creighton Longbough to the rear. Does that just mean he's not going to run when there's battle? All right. Illy tells him to leave off, like, leave her alone, all right? And that ladies don't need dudes like them. Ladies don't. People like this come in here to get away from people like us. No one's going to get that reference. Breakfast. Not yet, though. She asks Illy what she meant, and he points to her Losten shield and calls it a liar's shield. Since this is Illy we're talking about, since his grandfather's grandfather helped kill the last of the Lostens. She explains that she lost her shield, and Cray stoutly declared, a true knight is the only shield a maiden needs. Illy ignores him and asks her why wear such arms. He asks himself, unless your own sin is fouler still. He reveals that he knows who she is and then pulls out his dagger and tells Cray, behold the Maid of Tarth, who's opened Renly's royal throat for him. She says that it's a lie and swears by her sword, and Cray says, a knight swears by his sword, as in she can't swear by her sword. And Illy tells her to swear by the seven, and she does. Cray allows that. She swears well for a maid. Illy agrees and puts his dagger away and tells her that she gets, first watch. As the hedge knights slept, Brienne paced restlessly around their little camp, listening to the crackle of the fire. The hedge knights were up and about when she wakes up. Illy was cutting up a squirrel for breakfast. Yum, yum, yum. Well, Cray stood facing a tree, having himself a good long piss. Well, it's the morning. It happens. She thinks that they are decent for not messing with her when she slept. Week 7, one of them's peeing, and she's like, yeah, they're good guys. But they didn't mess with her when she slept, and it cheered her to know that there were some still decent men in the world. So keep in mind, this is a Brienne who's already met the Brave Companions and all the other people at Harrenhal, the Mountains Men, the Bolton's men, I don't think the Mountains Men were there, but either way, she has seen some nasty of the nasty of the nasty, and I bet she is extremely worried, even traveling alone after what she's already gone through with Jaime. So the fact that these dudes just don't seem to be interested in, physically assaulting her, she's like, all right, cool. I forgot people like this existed. So yeah, cutting up the squirrel, taking a leak. Where are we at? They broke their fast on roast squirrel, acorn paste, and pickles, whilst Cray regaled them with the exploits on the Blackwater, where he's slain a dozen fearsome knights and that she's never heard of. I like Cray already. Cray's cool. The Knight of the Red Chicken. Oh, it was a rare fight, my lady. Rare and bloody fray. He allowed that Illy also fought nobly as well, though Illy said little. He's letting Cray do the talking. It's you guys ever meet those friends or those couples where one person is extremely extroverted and the other person is introverted, and it works because it's just the quiet one's no, you go ahead and talk. You can do all the talking for us, and I can kind of hang out. That's kind of how my marriage is. Believe it or not, I'm the quiet one. No, I'm not. I'm not obnoxious. That I don't even need to convince you. All right. The knights. Where am I? Yeah. So, when the time came to resume their journey, the knights fell on either side of her, like guards protecting some great lady. Though she dwarfed both of them and was better armed and armored, probably a better fighter too. Brienne asked them if anyone passed during their watches, and Cray says, a farm boy and half a dozen men afoot with staves and scythes, who stopped to look at their horses, but Cray flashed his steel and scared them off. He then went on to regale them with the story of the fight with the Knight of the Red Chicken And Brienne thought it was very nice to have traveling companions. Yeah, watch out for the Night of the Red Chicken. Apparently, it's the most epic fight of all time that took place on the Blackwater. Yeah. It was midday when the group hears of voices raised in prayer. A group of begging brothers led the way with 80 ragged men, women, and children, a spotted sow, and several sheep. So a lot of people. Several of the men had weapons. With them rolled a two-wheeled way of gray and splintered wood, piled high with skulls and broken bits of bones. They stopped and saw the hedge knights and greeted them. Illy asked who they were, and a big guy with a 7-pointed star carved on his chest said that they were poor fellows. A tall woman said that they are going to the city, and a small man asked to join them. Oh, the small man asked them to join. So this is some sparrows. I'm about to say it, but yeah, it's a big group of poor fellows and other people, and they have like a whole wagon full of bones, and they're like, why don't you guys come join us? The sparrows. Creighton tells them that they are bound for Duskendale, which is the other direction, but they could escort them to the city for the right coin. A septon says that sparrows need no coin. Cray was lost and asked, sparrows? The septon explains who they are. I'm not doing all this right now. And that the bones are bones of holy men, and that the hedge knights should come with them if they love the seven. Illy says he does, but also needs to eat. Like, they also need gold. And they are going to Duskendale. The sparrows call them false knights, and one of them spits at them. That's very mean, Sparrow. Then they put their weapons... They put up their weapons until the barefoot septon stops them. So they pull their weapons out after they say, like, no, we need coin. We're not going to go with you. Until this barefooted septon steps forward. Then the hedge knights and Brienne let the sparrows pass. So, yeah. Cray scratched his butt and asked what kind of men would attack a septon, but Brienne knew the kind. Yeah, she's seen some bad stuff. She finished by saying, a man would need to be a fool to, or he finished by saying, a man would need to be a fool to assault a silent sister. Sorry, I'm not doing it in his voice. A man would need to be a fool to assault a silent sister, even lay hands upon one. It's said that they are strangers' wives, and their female parts are cold and wet as ice. Jeez, Cray. He then glanced at Brienne and goes, oh, beg pardon. Brienne spurred her mare towards Duskendale. After a moment, Ser Illifer followed, and Ser Creighton came bringing up their rear. 3 hours later, they come upon a merchant and his serving men, accompanied by yet another hedge knight. They are struggling towards Duskendale. The merchant pulls a crossbow and his knight a blade and says the times are troubled and asks who they are. So, yeah, they come up on a merchant and the merchant immediately is like, crossbow. And the knight's like, hey, who are you? Yeah, because they could be attacked by anybody, right? The Mad Mouse. I do have a video for Shadrach the Mad Mouse, so we're going to cover it a little bit here. Keep in mind, that video was made a long time ago before I covered like pretty much every one of their lines. As you can see, I do skip some lines, but I pretty much cover everything they're in now. And this was when I was a lot more laxed when I covered Shadrach. But yeah, the Mad Mouse. Creighton said, affronted, why, I'm the famous Ser Creighton Longbough, fresh from the Battle of the Blackwater, and this is my companion, Ser Illifer the Penniless. Brienne then explains that they mean no harm, and the merchant asks why Brienne is dressed so, quote, unnatural. And she says that she is looking for her sister and a portly knight and a drunken fool, made of 3 and 10 without blowing hair. The merchant says that the roads are full of drunken fools and despoiled knights, but it's hard to stay portly nowadays. Though Cray has managed it. Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, it's pretty rough. But it's like, you know, they're like, hey, we're looking for a maid and a fool, and he goes, yeah, not a lot of maids, and there are a lot of drunken fools, but there's nobody portly except for Cray, is what he says. Cray insists, I have big bones. Shall we ride together for a time? I do not doubt Sir Shadrick's valor, but he seems small. The 3 blades are better than, and 3 blades are better than 1. The merchant asks Shadrick, who says that he doubts they can trouble them since they are old and fat and female. Geez. So he agrees to let them come with. As the group resumed their journey, the hired knight Shadrick dropped back and talked to Brienne. After some veiled insults back and forth, he says that he is no tourney knight and prefers battle. Brienne says that he has that in common with Cray. Shad laughed and said that he tells her that he is also looking for Sansa. He says that like Cray, he was on the Blackwater, but lost and needs gold. Later that night, they come upon an inn by an old stone bridge, and Cray calls the inn the Old Stone Bridge and says that he knew the innkeep. The Old Stone Bridge. He vouched, not a bad cook, and the rooms have more fleas than most. Have no more fleas than most. Who's for a warm bed tonight? Illy says not them, since they are broke. We can't stay at an inn. Brienne claims that she can pay for all 3 of them. She was given a bunch of coin from Jaime before she left, although she doesn't tell them. Inside of the inn, the merchant asked the innkeep, Nagel is the innkeep's name, if he has any rooms. Or why did I say Nagel? Yeah, it is Nagel. And then I say Hagel. And Nagel says, yes, but only for people who have the coin. Creighton Longbough looked at him and said, Nagel, is that how you greet an old friend? 'Tis me, Longbough. And Nagel agrees it is him. Yes, it is you. But he owes him 7 stags. It's like, it's me, Longbough. Yeah, it is you, and you owe me money. Shut up. Brienne gets a room for herself and one for Illy and Cray to share. And the merchant gets a room for him and Shad. And then the rest of his men stay out in the stable. After that, they get settled in. Brienne gets roast goat for herself because they're roasting a goat. So she's like, I'm going to buy some roast goat and then some for Cray and Illy since they shared their trout. So she's treating them really nice. Like, it's like her thank you for not messing with her when she camped with them. And then like that's paying for their room. And then because they shared her food or their food with her, she's buying them food. So yeah, it's a really nice back and forth between them. Where was I? One of the locals asked Hybolt, which is the merchant, if it's true that Jaime the Kingslayer has lost his sword hand. Hybolt confirms it, aye, and Creighton says, shoot off by a direwolf, I hear. One of them monsters came down from the north. Not that's good ever comes from the north. Even their gods are queer. Even their gods are wrong. Brienne says that it was not a wolf and that he lost it by a Cohoric sellsword. Yeah, she was there. Shad says that it's not easy to fight handleless. And Cray says, bah, as it happens, I fight as well with either hand. Shad lifts his drink and says, I don't doubt that. I love it. Leaving in the night. After that, the common room got loud and too loud, and Brienne goes to bed. In her room, Brienne heard Cray walk past to his own room, saying, I never knew his name, but upon his shield bore a blood-red chicken, and its blade was dripping in gore. His voice faded somewhere up above a door open and closed. So he was telling somebody about the red chicken thing as he was headed to bed. After dusk settled over the old stone bridge, and at the inn grew still, that she could hear a murmur of the river, so it got really quiet. Brienne grabbed her things, and outside she donned her boots and hurried to the stables to saddle her bay mare, asking a silent pardon to Sir Creighton and Ser Illifer that she mounted and left. So she does apologize to them silently as she's ditching them. Later on, when traveling with Pod and Nimble Dick, she thinks that perhaps she made a mistake in abandoning Ser Creighton and Ser Illifer since they had seemed like honest men. Yeah, it's pretty sad. So they're only in that one chapter. They just travel that one little bit and then they're out. I hope they show back up. And I know I'm not the only person who thinks that. So let's get into some theories. Who is the Knight of the Red Chicken? That's what most theories are. This was requested by Peter Freitas over a year ago in June of 2024. I messed up his name, which I probably just did now as well. And in the replies, he asked me, like, he immediately, like, you messed up my name. Like, yeah, probably. Messed up everybody's name. And then he asked for a vid for Cray, and it was already on the list. But since he asked for it and it was more than a year out, right? So this was in June of 2024. I was like, yeah, I'll just put his name next to Creighton's, right? So yeah, this is your shout out. Thank you. Cray has a few fun theories for him. First one is Tiny from Tweedleann on Reddit called "What's Your Most Pointless inconsequential theory?" In the post, they claim that the Knight of the Red Chicken might be Will the Stork. I was gonna put Will the Stork's like sigil up here too, but like he doesn't have one. Will the Stork, if you don't remember it, it's all gonna be out the dome. He's one of the guys who had the bet on Brienne's maidenhead. So yeah, it's Will the Stork. Maybe he fought Will the Stork. A second and very fun one is also from Reddit called "The Revenge of the Knight of the Red Chicken, the identity of Ser Creighton Longbough's great foe and their epic rematch." This is from Injin Nate Kenny. This is some great tinfoil claiming that the Red Chicken, so this is a very long post. I'm just telling you guys the too long didn't read part. Claiming that the Red Chicken is actually Red Ronick Connington. And since Cray is nearsighted, he's blind, and the Griffin then looked like a chicken. Also, Cray and Illy will then join the Warrior Sons, and Cersei will have a trial of 7 with Red Ronick Connington on one side and Cray and Illifer fighting for the Warrior Sons on the other side. Right? That's a little goofy. It has like a 0% chance of happening, but I like it. I do. Also, I did a short for the Knight of the Red Chicken a very long time ago, and I was thinking maybe it was like I think they're called Hurstons, but it's another chicken sigil. So yeah, there you guys go. What'd you think of Ser Illifer the Penniless? Or not? Well, yeah, him too. What'd you think of Creighton Longbough, the person I did this video for? And do you guys think you'll see him again? I didn't get to play Apucci's dead, so he's still alive. Do you think we're gonna see Creighton? And if we do, in what way? Does he just show up? Does he run into a different character? Does he run into Brienne again? Is he in a trial of 7? That'd be nuts. All right, that's all I got. Click like, subscribe, do all that YouTube stuff. Try out that hype button. Tell me how it goes. And yeah, peace.